What's up, guys? Mike Thomas, aka the Young Trishula here, and today I'm back once again with chat with more Yu-Gi-Oh! One Take Twitch content. But I'm also here in my Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel hoodie, which was given to us by Konami, so huge shout outs to them. And why are we in the Master Duel hoodie? Well, today we are going to be going over the much requested Dragon Link guide for Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. So as some of you guys know, Dragon Link is in a much different state in Master Duel than it is in the TCG. In the TCG, Dragon has been hit many times. In Master Duel, the deck has basically never been hit. So it's very full power. The only thing that has been lost is basically Helk. So that changes a lot of things with the deck. A lot of the combos are very different when we have access to much more powerful tools. So this is going to be another comprehensive guide style video where we're going to go through and I'm going to show off my deck list and talk about some of the theory that goes into the deck, maybe why some card choices are played over others. And after that, we're going to hop into some combos. I have about 5 replays that I've farmed with the help of chat, so make sure to say thank you to them because they did a lot of help helping me get those replays. So really huge shout outs to them. But we are also going to be going over some more standard lines as well as some more very heavy RNG type lines, because something that is very unique to Master Duel is that there is still that element of heavy RNG when it comes to playing dragons, and I think that is something that is often lost when trying to show Dragon Link combos, especially on YouTube. So how we're going to be doing the combos is we're going to go through full hands rather than just doing this is what you do when you have this card and this card, because I think in Master Duel, because of some of the cards that we still have access to, the deck is way more open and way more freestyle, and I think it'd probably be more beneficial to just show you guys how I play out some of these hands when I open different combinations of cards and accounting for that RNG. So let's hop right into it, and let's start by looking over my deck list. So this is the deck list that I've been playing a lot on Master Duel. It's gone through a lot of different iterations, but this is kind of what I've landed on for this format, and I just want to kind of go through it with you guys. So I will go through the cards for people who maybe don't know all of them. So we have 2 Effect Veiler at the start, 1 Rocket Synchron, 3 Max C. Shoutouts to the Earth Insect. 3 Ash Blossom and Joyous Springs, 2 Wyver Burster, 2 Collapse, 2 Rocket Tracer, 1 Recharger, 3 Safer, 1 Magnemite, 2 Saronir, 1 Druisworm, 1 Baldrake, 1 Abserator, 1 Levy, 2 Lubellion, 1 Nibiru, 3 Chaos Space, Dragon Ravine, Boot Sector, Branded Regained, 3 Quick Launch, 2 Called By, and Branded Beast. And then for the extra deck, we have Savage Dragon, Chaos Ruler, Hot Red, Baron, Pisty, 2 Striker, because Konami loves us over here, Hieratic Seal, Romulus, IP Masquerena, Dark Charmer, Triple Burst, Nightmare Unicorn, Access Code, and Boral End Dragon. And also, we'll just take a second to appreciate our beautiful Royal Rare Boral End Dragon that we were blessed to pull. So let's talk about some of the card choices in this deck, because I think that some of my card choices might surprise a lot of people, given the format on Master Duel. The first of which is the Nibiru. I think a lot of people are sleeping on Nibiru, especially in Master Duel right now. I think a lot of people kind of look at the format like, oh, well, Sprite is popular, oh, Teralman is popular, Nib isn't super great into those decks. I actually am not necessarily sure if I agree with that. I think Nibiru is actually pretty strong right now, especially in combination with something like an Effect Veiler. Nib plus Effect Veiler can clear pretty much any board in the game. It also is really nice to draw into it off of Max C. So whenever you have like Effect Veiler and Nibiru in your deck and you have Max C, you are never afraid of decks that take the Max C challenge against you, because you can always just draw into your one of Nibiru and hold 1 Effect Veiler to combo with it. And if your opponent is doing one of those crazy combos where they summon like 20-30 times, but they don't expect to ever lose through the Max C, or maybe they're going to try and deck you out, you know that you kind of have that ace in your sleeve, like that ace up your sleeve, and you can just blow them out. So that it's really, really nice for that. Another thing too is that Tearlament can actually lose to Nibiru more than you might expect, because Tearlament players don't expect for Nibiru to be in the format, so they oftentimes play into it. Another thing too is that because you're playing all these Bestials into the Tearlament matchup, if they summon a Rukalos, you can easily bait out the Rukalos with one of your Bestials and then free up your Nibiru in order to just clear the board, which is something that you can do more often than you would expect, and it's actually very funny when it goes off. Also, on top of that, Nib is very, very strong in this deck because it's a light, so you can add it off Chaos Ruler, and it's very, very powerful whenever you have a full Dragon Link board with a Nibiru backing it. You just don't feel like you can lose into any matchup. As for Sprite, usually the Sprite players should be going for Sprind earlier in their combo, and that will actually make it so that Gigantic is after 5th summon, so you can oftentimes nib the Sprite players. But even if you can't, you can always hope to combo it with Valor, or you can just use it to bait out a Sprite Red. So overall, not too bad of a card. Then I think another common question I get is how many Collapse Serpent to play. And in this list, I'm playing 2. I think you should always play 2. I think 2 and 2 is the correct ratio on Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, or whenever you have 3 of all the babies. And I don't think I would play any other ratio. I see a lot of people try to do like 2 Wyverburster, 1 Collapse, or 3 Wyverburster, 1 Collapse, something like that. I do not think that that is correct in any circumstance, because you always want to have the babies to be able to search off of themselves. You always want to be able to go like baby into baby so that you have that free discard off of Ravine, but that's actually not the main reason why. The main reason why is actually the Chaos Ruler math. You want to specifically be playing 4. Any more is a little bit too bricky. Any less, you run the risk of not being able to hit a baby off of Chaos Ruler. But as I was talking about before with some of those more RNG heavy combo lines, you're usually pretty safe to kind of risk it on some of these greedier Hail Mary type plays, because by the time that you're getting to that Hail Mary part of your combo, you have like, I think it's like a 52 to 55% chance to hit one of these babies. So it's in your favor to actually roll into a baby. And what's really nice is that if you're overloading on one of the 2 attributes, it could potentially be that you're not going to have the right attribute to banish. The other thing too is Collapse is typically a little bit better than Safer when you're going second, because you do have stuff like Starlight, or you do have the Effect Failures as well that you can put into your graveyard, as well as stuff like the Bestial Rebellions, Nib. So Collapse Serpent actually isn't as much of a brick as people think it is. It's just not great in YouTube combo hands going first, but it's still not bad either, and hopefully through the course of this video you might hope to understand why. Another card that I see almost every Dragon Link player on Master Duel play, and it drives me crazy, is Delindrous Dragon in the extra deck. You can see that we are not playing it. Delindrous Dragon is not super good. Delindrous Dragon is a very, very win more card. And I understand why people like to play Delindrous Dragon. Delindrous Dragon is a card that gives you a free +1. It gives you effectively a free level 4 body when you use it when going for your Borland. So it guarantees that when you have that Delindrous, that you always get to Borland plus Savage. But the issue with that is that it requires you to summon both of your strikers on first turn, which causes you to play into most hand traps. So like, if you get Nibiru'd or something to that effect, you get a Nibiru'd, or you get Bestialed or Ogred or Gamma or whatever it is, one of the best follow-ups that you have in the entire deck is summon a level 4 dragon. So it could be one of the babies, it could be a quick launch, it could be Boot Sector Special Tracer from hand, and then go for a late turn Striker Dragon pop itself into summoning something back, say your Borland or anything like that. If you use that Striker effect too early when you're using like the Delindrous, it cuts you off from that line, and that can be very unfortunate. Another thing too is that the Delindris plays really hard into opposing bestials to where you've now not only used your striker effect, but you've also lost that Delindris. Not only that too, the Delindris can be kind of awkward to summon. It prevents you from doing proper resource loops because you have to have a dark, so you're kind of cutting yourself off from getting the Seifert. And it also requires you to make a pyramid where you have Romulus up top with Pisty and Striker, your second Striker, on the field. So that plays really, really hard into the Nibiru as well, because not only are you exposing yourself to Nib the same way that you would if you had just combo normally with a triple burst dragon, but you're also getting rid of that follow-up as well through that Nibiru. So I'm not a big fan of Delindris Dragon, so we're not playing it. And then I guess I just mentioned it too, but we're also not playing Psy-Frame Gear Gamma. This might seem weird to people, but I don't think Gamma is as important as some people think it is. I mean, the card is really crazy when you're going first and you know, get ashed on like a Safer or a Chaos base or something. But it's not too great because if you don't get ashed there, it does nothing. And it's not really great into Terrell elements, so you don't really want to hit Tier. It doesn't do much into Labyrinth. You know, it's really only great in the Sprite matchup. So I've just opted to cut it for Effect Veilers and also not having to play the Driver, because there are more Garnets in this deck now with the Beast and the Regained. You don't really want to draw these, and I'm not trying to play like 45 cards. Theoretically, you could bump up the hand trap count and go up to like 43, 44, 45 and just play more hand traps. Like you could surely play like 3 Effect Veiler and like the Gammas. You could do that. You could play like 2 Effect Veiler, 2 Imperm, 2 Gamma, and a Driver. Like you could do that as well. All of those are options, but this is just the list that I like. It's been very, very consistent for me. Yeah, overall. Oh, one last one is the 2 Lubellions as well. I won't spend too much time talking about this. I don't think you need 3 in this deck, at least not on Master Duel. Same with the lower bestial count, because you can always get into Lubellion. It's really easy to do, especially with a Chaos Ruler. So like you can always get into this card. Pretty much every hand can do it. You might have to have some creative combo lines to get there, but you can always get there. But the Chaos Ruler makes it so much easier too, because you're basically getting a free pot of pot of prosperity during your turn, like late into your turn. So if you're still not at Lubellion, you can hit Lubellion or you can hit Saronir, and all of those are valid ways to get into this card and get into your Beast Regain stuff. So it's just strictly not necessary to play 3, so it was cut for space. So with all of that theory and deck building out of the way, let's hop into some combos. So we have a few saved here. So the first one I want to show off is actually the very first one. They're a little bit out of order, so I have it written down. I have the order written down, and once again, shout outs to my chat for helping me farm these replays. They're still up there. Chat, this is your moment to shine. So let's start things off. I'm gonna pause here real quick. This was a pretty underwhelming hand. I mean, you only have the Safer. You do have double quick launch as extenders, so it is nice. This is a very good hand for playing through hand traps. I'm not going to be showing you exactly how to play through hand traps in this video. Maybe in a future video if we get enough likes on this one. Let's call it 300. Let's call it 300 on this video. We can do a hand trap guide for Master Duel as well. But we're gonna start off here, and we're just gonna go Safer Tribute ourselves for Collapse, and we're gonna go Chainlink 1 Collapse, Chainlink 2 Striker. This is the first thing that the first kind of lesson I want to teach is that you always put the Striker as Chainlink 2 for 2 reasons. One, you care more about the body than you do about the boot sector, especially when you have quick launch in your hand. So I already have 2, so I really don't care about the boot sector at this point. But also, Master Duel players have a surprisingly high tendency to Ash Striker Dragon, so it is very, very good, because not only are you protecting your Collapse Serpent, but you also might just freely hand loop your opponent for 1, because a lot of players seem to think that ashing Striker Dragon is correct. Fun fact, it is not correct. They should have ashed the Safer. So you're going to get your double search off, which is totally fine. And then you can just special out here and go into your Romulus. And you will once again trigger your double search. So again, showing that those collapse serpents, having the extra collapse in your deck is very, very nice, because now when you start normal summon safer, you get a free discard. And as you can see, there's not really another good card in our hand to discard. So without that second collapse serpent, we wouldn't be able to do that. So now I'm going to do kind of an interesting play here on this first one. So this isn't maybe the most standard replay right off the bat, but what I do want to show is a progression of the power of the end boards, and I think this was one of the weaker, more standard end boards that we went for. And you know, when we finish this board, and I'm telling you that this was kind of weaker, just be prepared. Just be prepared. So we're gonna actually go quick launch summon Tracer, and then at resolution activate another quick launch and use the Tracer to pop it. So this is a really cool thing that you can do to generate free advantage without having to pop one of your field spells. Now this does play into hand traps a little more than you would like, so you could have always played this a little bit. If you're a little bit more afraid of like hand traps, you could always just go start with your Dragon Ravine or something, but I like to play it a little bit more risky and do it something like this and go for the Chaos Ruler to try and mill 5, because if we hit something like that safer, or like we just saw the Sarnier, it can change what we want to dump. So as you can see, we're going to go Sarnier, and we are going to dump the Lubellion. And I'm just going to keep playing. I'm going to go for Triple Burst. And now you might be tempted to just immediately summon that Lubellion out and try and get to your Branded Beast or get to a Regained or something like that. But I think that actually ends up playing into stuff like Nibiru. So I think it's better to just keep going and just play normally, because then you can get this out way at the end of your turn. Far after they would have already been too scared. So we're just going to get back our safer, recycle that, nice and easy. And we're going to go safer effect. Grab the Lubellion. Use the Lubellion effect. And grab our Magnemite. So now we're already into Magnemites. So as you can see, something I was talking about before is that, you know, our Chaos Ruler already got us into the Lubellion, so it was very nice. Again, you could have set that up more. You could have set that up early and gone Dragon Ravine, pitch the Lubellion immediately, and then change the RNG, see what you hit differently, and then, you know, maybe you hit the Sarnier afterwards and it's like, oh, now I get the regain too. But I usually like to just see what's going to happen before I start committing cards on the field, because if I don't have to put a card on the field, I don't want to, because then, you know, we might get evenly matched or something to that effect. So now we can just bring back our Lubellion, we can go for the Chaotic Magical Dragon, and we can freely Borland negate and summon back the Synchron that was in our graveyard. I think we milled this. No, we summoned this. This was already there. So we just get this back, and now we're into our hot red, and this is pretty solid. Like, we could just stop here. You know, we could just set the called by, end phase, search Magnemite, and we could just call it a day, sitting on 2 hand traps, called by, Beast, Lubellion, both field spells in hand. But just to show you that you can keep pushing it a little bit further, you could push the Collapse to graveyard, go Absolrouter, search the Tracer that's still in our deck, and you can go Boot Sector, special it out, and also get that IP Masquerena, and there you go. So obviously these could be any cards in your hand, so you have 3, but you're also resolving a search, so now you get 4 cards. So, and what's really, really nice about this is that because you have these 4 cards, one of them being Druid Swarm, if you go into the IP Masquerena, you can also get your Unicorn into rotation and potentially spin a card. So if anybody wants to be cheeky and say set Albaz or something against you, you can always deal with it very easily that way without having to give up your Druid Swarm send. So very, very, very nice. So that is the first replay, and I think our test dummy chatter here will just now concede, because Smashing Ground is not going to do anything against the Borland, so no reason to play that one out. So that was the first replay, and keep in mind that I said that these are probably going to get stronger as we go through. So I'm going to now go down to the third replay. because this is one of those less RNG heavy replays. Keep in mind that there is going to be an element of RNG in all of these replays, but for the most part, I am going to try and not take cards that influence the combo to a significant degree. So this is a very, very strong starting hand. As you can see, we started Lubellion and just get Magnamut, but we already have everything that we need here. We already have Magnamut, we already have Sarnier, we already have Druis. So we're already sitting on 3 hand traps. If we're playing against Terralament, we're super, super safe. Like, they literally cannot fusion summon against us. So we're just gonna go straight into our Collapse Serpent and keep going. Now, if you really want to play around Ash, if you're afraid of it, maybe you get that toggle, you get that little hint in Master Duel that they could have an Ash when you activate the Lubellion. You can always play this safer and pitch the Tracer out of your hand, but I'm doing it this way because this, I believe, shows off a very, very cool line of play that you can do that I don't think really comes up very often in the TCG anymore. And it is something nice to bring up for people who might be newer to Master Duel, or newer to Dragon Link, I mean. So we are going to summon out the Sarnier early, and then we're going to get our Lubellion out. Of course, since we're so far ahead, we're just going to dump our Regained, and we're going to get Beast. So we've already set up everything that we could possibly want. We have all the follow-up in the world now with Beast Regained. So we're going to go into Romulus. We're going to summon our Magnamut out, and then Magnamut can use its effect to search in the end phase. And now we're going to summon our Wyverburster, and we are going to make a Pisty right now. We're going to trigger the Wyverburster. We're going to search. Oh, I don't think this must not be the replay I was thinking of then, because we did not trigger our secret effect. So spoilers for a future one. So we are going to go this. Okay, this is a different, also interesting replay. So what I just did here, I'm going to pause just so we can talk about it, is that we summoned back our Striker Dragon. So we do have a Safer banished, and you might be tempted to use the Safer, or to summon back the Safer and recur a resource, right? I am specifically choosing to summon Striker Dragon here because now we can go into Seals, and now we are super safe from Nibiru or anything else, and we get that Seals, which a lot of times you might miss out on if you are going for Borland and Dark Locking yourself. But rest assured, we're still going to get pretty much everything you could ever want. We are going to special out our Tracer now. We are going to use the Boot Sector first before Dragon Ravine, because we want to preserve this card if we're able to, since it is very good to be able to just Foolish Burial a card every single turn. And we're going to make our Chaos Ruler. And now, of course, this introduces a new element of RNG, so maybe we find something crazy, maybe we hit a Levianeer, you know, anything could happen. But even though we did hit Extenders here, we did hit Bestials, I'm not going to take them. I'm just going to take the Hand Trap to, again, limit that RNG. And I'm then going to use the Striker to target the Chaos Ruler and pop it and grab back our Recharger. So now, even though this Striker wasn't summoned from the extra deck, we can still use it to abuse Recharger by popping Chaos Ruler, which was. So now you can use the Recharger to target that Chaos Ruler and bring back the Triple Burst Dragon, which is a Link 3. You can then use the effect of the Chaos Ruler to come back onto the field, and then you can link off into the Borland Dragon. And now you can kind of see where this is going. You can summon the Druis Worm, summon it out, and you can go Borland to target your Druis Worm and make your IP Masquerena. Now, one thing that I will mention just as a little bit of a footnote is that you could have also ended on the hot red here, because we could have specialed out the Druis Worm early, and then made the Borland, and then use the Dragon Ravine, maybe pitch the Collapse Serpent to dump the Synchron, bring back the Chaos Ruler, and then negate it, and then you have the hot red as well. But I don't think that's strictly necessary. I think that this is more than enough, and I do want to show this off that you really don't need the negate. The Omni negate isn't super, super important. And now you have Seals, Borland, IP, Beast, Regain, Nibiru, plus a search for Druis Worm in your end phase. And this is and you've never used your Dragon Ravine. So if we had hit differently off of that Chaos Ruler, potentially we would have gotten into Levianeer as well, and just, you know, gone even further, hand looped a card out of our opponent's hand. But, you know, again, we just feel so safe having stuff like Druid Worm, Beast Regained, Nibiru, and like Seal's Borland. So we have infinite follow-up. We have a monster that is very hard to clear for most decks that is also a form of disruption. We have an easy way to go into Unicorn that will also be co-linked and draw a card, and we have good discard targets for it as well. And we have follow-up in the graveyard with those Lubellions that we can, of course, add back off of a Safer that we can summon off a Hieratic Seal, and the Regain will summon back out the Magnema and get us a search as well. There's very few decks that can play through all of this unless they find a way to clear our board and kill us this turn, which is extremely difficult to do through all the different layered interruption that we have here. So I think once again our beloved Twitch chatter is just going to concede, as their vanilla strategy cannot defeat us. So that was the second combo I have queued up. Now I want to show another combo that is similar to the last combo but even stronger. This is an even stronger combo, and you know, like I said, these are just only going to get stronger. So we are going to start off by going Lubellion for Sarnier, because we already have the Magnema, we already have pretty much everything, and we have the Chaos space as well. So we can just pitch that Sarnier for free. Usually I don't promote doing this, because usually you can summon the Sarnier and just dump it, and just get into your Regain naturally by using it as an extender. But we're already so far ahead when you open Lubellion, Chaos Space, Magnema, that there's no reason that we can't do this at this point, since we just already have everything that we could ever need. So we're going to start by summoning our Magnema as well and trigger our effect, just in case our opponent has a Bestial or something. They want to try and deny us our search. But even plays like that aren't super scary for us, because we could always pitch that Magnema later and summon it back. But we are just going to do this right away to try and disrupt any opposing Bestials. We're going to get our Beast right away, so now no matter what happens, we're going to be safe. And I'm actually going to go through the Tracer early here, and I'm going to do that just because I want to keep the Magnema in graveyard, potentially for a regains later in the duel. You don't have to do that. You can play it a little bit differently if you want to, maybe to try and play around hand traps better, but I think that this is fine. The other reason too, though, is that, and this is going to come up later in the turn, is that I want this Striker Dragon in the Banish Zone, and you will see this later in the video. So we are now going to summon out our Collapse Serpent, and we're going to summon Triple Burst. We're going to trigger Collapse and get Wyver Burster. And then we're going to go Dragon Ravine effect, just pitch that Wyver Burster for Absoraptor. Absoraptor is going to trigger, and we're going to get Synchron. Now, it is important to note that we have not normal summoned yet. So what we can do now is you can go Pisty, and you can target that Tracer in your graveyard. And you can now, once again, link off for your seals. So what's nice about this is that because we have a normal summon and we have this free Synchron Surge, if the opponent did want to disrupt our Pisty there, we can still continue combo normally, because we can just normal summon Synchron and just continue playing. But if they don't, we just get our Tracer out for free. So it is a nice way to kind of bait for that disruption. And then you just get your Tracer out into your Chaos Ruler. Chaos Ruler can use its effect. And now, once again, we get to spin the wheel and see what happens. Once again, we hit Nibiru, so we're going to just take it. And now, because we went first, we just feel so safe. There's next to no deck in the entire game that is going to be able to clear us through a Nibiru. So we know that we're surviving until the next turn, more or less. And then we're going to be able to, once again, do what we did in the previous replay. We are going to use our Striker Dragon to pop the Chaos Ruler, bring back our Triple Burst, and now we have enough bodies to go for the Borland. But what's nice about this replay and why I wanted to show this off is this is interesting. So remember how last time I specifically reborned my striker so that I wouldn't have to so I wouldn't be able to recycle my safer. Well, the exception to the rule is in this replay is that we had a chaos space. So because we had a chaos space, or if we had started with regained at some point, we would be able to loop that second striker, and now we don't feel as bad putting it back into putting the second one on the board, because we know that we're going to have one for follow-up in the future. So we're going to once again make our Borland in the main monster zone, and now we can just safely get into a Chaos Ruler, and then Chaos Ruler can get negated by the Borland, and we can go into our Hot Red. Here I'm putting the Hot Red in defense just so that this board really doesn't care about Lightning Storm at all, because they can't Lightning Storm call monsters and kill two. They can only kill the seals. But that shouldn't come up much. And once again, we had a little bit of a preemptive concede, but again, we were going to reactivate our regained from the graveyard and search off of our Magma, getting us Druisworm, giving us a 5-card hand with Ash, Nibiru, Druisworm, and Boot Sector, as well as an unknown card. So again, very, very, very strong. There's next to no decks that can play through this stuff. So those were the first 3 replays that I think kind of show off more normal gameplay. Now I want to go into a couple where things have to get a little bit more twisted. So I'm going to start with the this first replay on a little bit more of an awkward hand, if I recall correctly. Yeah, so this was kind of an awkward hand where we had Hard Open the Beast as well as Lubellion Tracer called by, you know, it's not the greatest hand in the world, but it's still going to do some pretty nice stuff. So we're going to immediately search for our Magnemite because we already have the Beast, so we don't need to think about putting Regained into the graveyard. And then we're going to normal our Tracer and then Striker Pop to get back the Tracer. Now, this might seem a little bit strange to some, but just roll with me. We're then going to go Magma and special out the Striker Dragon, and we're going to summon our Magma and use this effect to search in the end phase, and we're going to summon Lubellion. And then you're going to go Lubellion effect, get your Regained. Now, this is where maybe a lesser Dragon Link duelist might just simply make Seals and pass. However, we are not that Dragon Link duelist. We are actually going to use Tracer and Pop to go for Chaos Ruler, because if you recall me saying earlier, there is, I want to say, a 50 to 55% chance that we're going to hit one of the babies here. And this was just a one take. I only had to do this one time to get this replay, and of course we hit the baby. So this is very, very consistent. I've found just through kind of just doing it, and the math really helps out. So even if this was collapsed too, we also hit that Sarnier, and we got to dump a Lubellion, and we also have a Lubellion on the field. So we would have had a light in the graveyard even if this was collapse. So no worries even if it is collapse. So we're still now in full combo territory. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into our Dark Charmer, and because we had access to that Tracer so early on, we don't care about going for the Romulus. We don't care about getting to Dragon Ravine, because Dragon Ravine really is only there to get you to Tracer. So we can freely go Dark Charmer, and I'm going to use the Regain, you know, just recycle a card, and we're going to draw Effect Veiler. We're going to go for that Triple Burst Dragon. We're going to get our Search, and we are once again going to summon. I'm going to summon back the Synchron here. This is just nice that we banished the Synchron, because now we can play around Bestials a little bit better. I am going to show the Chaos Space. I think that when you are on these kind of weaker hands, I haven't been doing it in other replays to, again, just show off that is as little RNG as possible. But I do think that using the Chaos Space on these weaker hands to just try and dig into a better card earlier in your turn is typically better. But as you'll see here, I just draw another hand trap. So now, no matter what we're ending on 3 hand traps to back it up. So we're just going to make our Borland. We're going to banish our extra Lubellion, because we do have 2 of them. summon out the Chaos Ruler, and we are going to negate, get our Synchron, and go for Hot Red. And this time I'm going to put in an attack, because at this point, we're not losing 2 monsters to Lightning Storm, so it wouldn't really matter. We're going to set the Beast, and I don't remember if this was an early concede, but we do have the search for Jerusalem. So now, as you can see, we do have several unknown cards in our hand that could potentially, you know, push this combo even further. We did draw 2 cards, so if those had been extenders, we might have gone into something even crazier. But even still, we ended on two negates on field, Beast regained, plus 4 hand traps. You know, very few decks can play through the board without hand traps, and then having 4 to back it up is, you know, very, very strong. So I would highly encourage you to definitely try out taking some of those more RNG heavy lines, because I think when you are on kind of those awkward hands, you can always try and slow roll it and go for, you know, the seals and, you know, get into, you know, follow up and blah, 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 and try and play a more fair, slower paced game. But I don't think those fair, slower paced games are necessarily the key to victory all of the time. Sometimes I think that you need to just spin the wheel, and I just wanted to show that one off because you can get very, very rewarded for doing so. And for this last replay, this is another high roll kind of Papega hand, but I don't recall exactly what was different about this one. Yeah, I think this was another hand where we just kind of went high roll. I don't think we dark locked ourselves super early. This was one of those hands where we just start off with the Dragon Ravine. You know, not too much you can do. Thankfully, we had something like Sarnir where we can chain block our Absorata. Oh, you know, actually, I do think I dark locked myself early on this one, now that I think about it. Yeah, so we start with normal summon Synchron, and we're going to bring back the Absorata, and this time we're going to first action go Chaos Ruler. So this is a very greedy line, so you can do something like you can go Quick Launch into Tracer, into Striker, get your Boot Sector, do whatever, blah, 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 blah. But I don't really see much of the point in doing that too early, because this tests for a lot of hand traps by just, it tests for stuff like Imperm, it tests for stuff like Bestials, it tests for Ash Blossom, it tests for a lot of stuff. So we can just get that Chaos Ruler on the field and roll that small chance that maybe we hit into our own Boot Sector, but we don't. We once again hit into hand traps and a baby. This time I'm going to take that baby because even though we did hit a nice light banish, we do have access to the Lubellion, so even if we didn't hit that light banish, we would still be able to combo. And again, just to show that you frequently hit into these babies when you start with early Chaos Ruler, because you do have a high chance to do so. So you're going to go Lubellion. Here I actually went for the regains just to show off a combo where, you know, maybe you're a little bit down on resources and you just want to get that regained engine going, because you don't always need the branded beast, especially when you just, you know, already have access to everything and you've already used your Sarnir to dump Rebellion. You don't necessarily need the beast as well. And I think we're probably using this Jerusalem to combo with. So again, we're just gonna go Quick Launch into Tracer, pop. We've seen this plenty of times. We go Triple Burst, you summon back, and now I'm going to summon. Yeah, we do use the Jerusalem. So I like using this Jerusalem to combo because this does bait for Nib very, very well. Because so say we get Nibiru'd here, it would be hard for an opponent to resist this Nibiru before I've gotten to Borland, and also I have 4 monsters on the field. This would be very hard to resist for most players. And keeping in mind that we have this regained on the field, if we got nibbed here, the regained would just summon back, so we would have our token plus the Jerusalem coming back, or the Sarnir, and it would send their Nibiru. But what's nice about this is this would be one of those hands where you can then punish the opponent, because we do have that Wyver Burster in our hand, so we can go into our Striker and follow up. And now we're just going to go into a Savage. Very, very simply. I think this is the first replay that's actually summoned Savage, which is kind of a little bit bizarre. I feel like you make this card a little bit more frequently than I have in these replays, but I think these have been some strong replays. So I did draw a Legionnaire here, so just to show you, you know, this could be any card. We could just pass here, and this was fine. You know, we just made kind of a high roll play, and we ended on a fine board, but we hit a Levy. So let's just keep going and summon our Chaos Ruler, and then we can negate ourselves. We can go for a Hot Red as well. So now we have both negates, and we have a Levy, so we can hand loop them as well. Now they have 4 cards, and even though we went for a very high roll type line, we still ended on a very nice board with Borland, both negates, and because we high rolled into this Levy, we get to hand loop them as well. It could of course just be a hand trap or another extender. If it was another extender, maybe you get an IP or something, maybe you just hold it for follow-up. If it's a hand trap, you get 3 negates plus 2 hand traps. Very, very solid. Very, very solid stuff. So I hope that these replays have kind of showed you some different ways that you can play out the numerous lines in Dragon Link. You know, some of these are maybe not the most straightforward combos, but I didn't draw any super straightforward hands in testing. And when I did, I didn't really like the replays. So I think that you're a smart duelist. I think that you can piece together the rest from here, because I think this is more of an intermediate or advanced guide. So hopefully if you have enjoyed this, hopefully you have learned something. Drop me a comment down below, drop me a like on this video, or consider subscribing. It really does help the channel out a lot. Also, say goodbye to chat because we are leaving. Chat, say goodbye to YouTube. Bye bye YouTube. Yeah, I think that's everything. Yeah, chat, I don't know if there's anything else, but 300 likes will make a hand trap guide. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.